Hey there, it's Leslie Dories with Foundations Coaching and the Hero Husband Project. And thanks so much for joining me. Sorry I missed you guys last week, but I was in the wilds of Maine and didn't have any access to the internet. And it was a wonderful time, hiked up on the Appalachian Trail, which is a little bit interesting. But I wanted to talk more today about how to stay authentic in your relationship, because the truth is you can't be part of a healthy relationship if you're not healthy yourself. And one of the things that we get told all the time is that marriage takes sacrifice and compromise. And the problem with that idea is that people seem to think that they need to sacrifice or compromise who they are. And I'm going to tell you, if you do that, you're putting your marriage at risk. Because, yes, I know your partner sometimes has asked you to change, but what needs to change might just be your behavior. It's never changing who you are. Because first off, you can't. And second off, it's not a reasonable request. So how do you identify who you are and what matters to you? We all have what are called deal breakers in relationships, or we say we do. But a lot of times when push comes to shove, we actually don't hold our boundaries. We don't hold and say, no, that's really not okay with me. And so I get asked a lot about how do people figure out what matters to them. And this is not an easy question. There's a whole industry are doing personality tests, and if you're a business, maybe you've taken one of the Myers-Briggs or the DISC or the Enneagram, or there are multitudes out there of these personality tests. And it's always a question of what's personality, what's behavior, how do we know the difference? And again, it's really important to know what matters to you. I had a client years ago whose husband said to her, "When are you going to stop writing?" The thing was, she's a writer. It's not what she did, it's who she is. And those are the kinds of things we can't give up, those things that make us who we are. If you're an athlete, you can't stop being an athlete. If you're an artist, if you're a musician, you can't stop that. And so it's how do we know who we are and what we need to do. And so one of the things that I suggest for my clients to do, sit down and take a piece of paper and start writing down the nouns that describe you. Are you a man? Are you a woman? Are you a daughter? Are you a sister? Are you a brother? Are you an engineer? Are you a dancer? What? And then we want to talk about what are some of the verbs that you have, or what are the adjectives that describe you. Are you funny? Are you honest? Are you are you somebody who's active? Are you healthy? Are you all these things that describe who you are and what you do. When we realize, when we can define those things, that gives us an idea about what we want in a relationship, both what we bring to a relationship and what we want from a relationship. And it's really important to figure out what are those things that really matter. You might be able to change the career you have or the job that you have, but you can't necessarily change the way you think. If you approach things from a very logical, analytical way, it may be very difficult to see things in a creative way. My aunt's an artist, and we were at a garden one day, and when she pointed out what she was seeing in the flowers, it was amazing because until she pointed it out, I couldn't see that. And so we do view things from a different world, and that's okay. We are different, and we don't have to stop being who we are to be in a successful relationship. We need to be able to adjust. So if you're active, if you like to play sports, then that's fine. You just don't need to be playing sports every day. I mean, every night. You might just want to play them a couple of times a week. I told my husband when we first met that not to ask me to stop dancing because he wouldn't like the woman who was walking around his house. Now, when we first got together, I danced 4 days a week. Then it dropped down to most recently one. And so it's not that I stopped, I just adjusted how I was doing it. And that's really the balance that we want to come up with, is not to stop what matters to us, but to balance it. And in order to do that, we have to know who we are and the things that we can give up and the things that will not be really good for us if we do. So thanks for listening. And if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear. And so hopefully I won't have any more technological problems, and I'll be talking to you guys again next week. So thanks again, Leslie Dories, Foundations Coaching, and I'll talk to you soon.